Man, it looks kind of lean tonight, guys. So, governing body roll call. Mr. Alsobrook,
I am present.
Mr. Murray,
I am also present.
Mr. Woolman,
Present.
and Mr. Burkett.
Present.
All right. So we have a quorum. I do need a motion to approve the agenda, please,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve the agenda and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So the agenda is approved. And now we'll move on to reports. And I guess we'll do the administrator report first.
Present.
Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing up, going to have Tanya talk about COVID and also hazardous mitigation that's going through the process of making sure that we report as a village everything that we might have a hazard with. So Tanya.
Hello, how are you? Thank you, Council, Mayor, Administrator Curry. All things COVID. If you've been watching the news, at least I hope the news is reporting it. We are increasing our cases daily. Yesterday, Corrales got 8 cases, and reports out of epidemiology due to people not testing because they don't want to miss work or doing home tests. Each case, we should think there's probably another 14.5 cases for each one that is reported through PCR. Maybe a little different for Corrales because of our population. We don't have a whole bunch of disparity of health groups within our village. Hospitalizations are also going up, and we know that they follow 2 to 3 weeks behind. Deaths have been holding steady. We've been running anywhere between 17 and 8 deaths per day for the last week or so. Today, the state did get 251 cases and the positivity rate was 5.2. We do have 7 people ventilated now today, which is up from earlier this week, which was 1. One of the poignant things to me was the governor did a press conference today on the fires, and last Friday she had done one, and no one in the press conference of the executive boards were wearing masks. Today, they all were. So please be careful. We do know that BA4 and 5 are here in the US, not to mention just BA 2.1, 2.1, and we do know they have immune escape, and boosters are definitely recommended. I know that Councilor Murray likes vaccine numbers. So we ran 13,130 in Corrales. We have 2 vaccine sites open this week. One's Thursday, one's Saturday. Sandoval County is 97.1% have their first shot, 84.4 have their second shot. They don't break down the county numbers into booster, even though it's really going to be a 3-dose prime. It's booster 1 and booster 2 right now. For the 65 plus, which are the people who are most at risk, even if they're vaccinated, of having severe outcome with COVID, unless you're in the state of New Mexico, 92.9% have their primary series complete, which is wonderful. 81.8 have their first booster. Only 19.2 have their second. And I think part of that is messaging. I know some people are waiting for that text to come through, and you don't have to wait. If you're ready for it and you were vaccinated in November, December, you can schedule your vaccine. Any questions on COVID or long COVID or any of those things? And I'm sorry, the screen, I've lost the council chambers. It's so I can't see you guys. I've got a citizen up on my screen.
Control 14, the hospital 20.8.
Okay, with no questions, unless we're having audio problems, I'll move on to a couple of things we are working. We have a hazard mitigation plan, and what that is to identify hazards and shortfalls within the village. We rewrote it in 2019. It is approved until November of 2024. However, we're supposed to look at it annually, see the projects we've completed, see if any new hazards have come in. All the department heads have it. Things that we've had on there were the flooding in Salsi Basin. That has been remediated, so we need to put it off. We had a Vector truck that we needed. That is getting worked on. So we are updating that as a department head. I'm hoping to have all of that back to me by next Wednesday so we can put it together, see if any new hazards, any new items we need are on there. And that mitigation plan is on the website. So if anyone has questions or if there's anyone, counselor or anyone that has seen something that maybe the department heads, please get with Ron. Any questions on that?
Mitigation.
Nope.
Tanya, if you could just repeat what you said this morning about being ready,
Yes.
set.
I will be happy to. So we're getting a lot of phone calls and I'm sure everyone is watching the fires burning is because you know, New Mexico has the largest fire in the United States right now burning. And then we have one within Sandoval County that may cause evacuations again in Los Alamos. And there's been a lot of emphasis on the Ready, Set, Go program, which the Village of Corrales has been a member of for, I can't remember how many years since Chief and I signed up. And there is information on it on the fire department website. There's a whole wildfire set. And I know a lot of people who are on here have attended our evacuation trainings that we've done with how to get your animals out, but how to get yourself out. Ready, Chief Martinez said something to a citizen the other day that was really poignant. Ready should be every single day of the year. You should know where your important papers are, where your stuff is, where your medications, how many animals you have, how many dog crates, cat crates, all of those things. That's your ready. You should know that. You should know who your emergency contacts are, where your meeting places are. If you have large animals that need to be trailered out, your trailer should be ready with not flat tires every single day of the year. If you only use a vehicle once every couple of months because that's what you haul your large animals with, you need to start it and make sure it's ready. Ready is your plan. Don't wait for, oh, there could be a fire. Oh, maybe it's going to be a bad flood season. You should be ready every single day. The set is when you really start getting that stuff together. You pull, I have 3 dogs. I have a lot of chickens. I actually have crates for all of them. If I needed to evacuate, I can crate everything and get it in my car. My set would be getting them out of the shed, putting them somewhere easy to get to. That's my set because I have my plan, so I'm ready. And the time we say go is not the time to get ready, and it's not the time to get set. Go is go. You don't have time to wait when it's go. So don't let that confuse you. That ready is when we say, hey, start getting ready. You should be ready every single day that there could be an emergency, power failure, house fire, trees falling, blocking your roads. You should have a plan in your head for all of those and practice it with your family. You're welcome.
Okay, the next item, we are in pretty constant contact with the folks at Waste Connections, which now owns Roadrunner Waste. And you all saw a presentation that Lorena made a month or so ago. And one of the things that she's asking us now is, and we're considering this, and I just want to make you aware of this, that as we move into the springtime and the summertime, having a green roll off where they can collect, or the residents can bring to a location their yard waste essentially. And we're looking at how many times we would want to have that during the course of the year. They'll do one for free. And then after that, depending on the size, it could be, there will be an amount charged. But I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that we're considering doing something. We're going to at least have one, and then see how many more that we'd have during the course of the summer, because everybody's in the process of cleaning up their yards right now and trying to spruce up. So, but that's coming soon. And the other part of that is we're trying to figure out where we would put it, because if we put it out here in the parking lot next to the glass recycling, then it gets a little crowded out there at that point.
Can I put it over at the rec center?
Yeah, we're gonna put it, maybe put it at the rec center or over by Public Works.
Public Works.
Yeah, but we're looking at the logistics of that, but that's coming soon. The other thing is that the mayor's established a Performing Arts Center task force, workforce, group of people that are interested in seeing what the the next phase of the Jones property is going to look like. We're also in the process of working with Main Street and working with EPA and working with some local folks, actual cost to raise it because of the asbestos in it. And I think I've mentioned that to you before at one other meeting, but it's moving forward, and the mayor is trying to impress on everybody that we want their ideas, and there's lots of them, a wide variety of them. But we're still in the very early planning stages of this, but we think it's something that could actually happen with the right amount of emphasis behind it. Now I'd like to call on Chris to talk, give a little update on the bicycle fair. Chris Allen.
Thank you, Administrator Curry, Mayor Fahey, members of the council. As you know, with your support, we were able to have a bike fair on April 30th, which was a Saturday. And I want to give you some preliminary information about this. We will do a final report when we meet at the end of the month for our regular committee meeting. But we had 28 volunteers. We had approximately 150 attendees. We didn't really keep count, but that's the estimate we have. We had a donation from Helmets from Javi, that's Javi. This is a family who lost their son to a bicycle accident, and they donated $1,000. Suzanne went out and purchased helmets. She spent $1,000.30. Talk about budgeting. So with that, we were able to buy 38 adult helmets. We gave away a lot of those and fit them properly. We had people fitting the helmets. We gave them away that day, and any that were left over will be distributed at the growers market. We also spent $17.23 for materials to make signs and $1.96 for postage to mail reports to donors. We received a donation of 376 helmets from the Brain Injury Clinic Advisory Council, which is the Governor's Council on Disability. The helmets have been delivered to Corrales Elementary for distribution to the students. So this was our initial attempt. And in hindsight, I want to say personally that I think it actually worked out well that our larger event was canceled, because this was a good toe in the water, a good first step. And we'll do a postmortem at our next committee meeting, and we may very well expand it for next year, maybe call it a recreational fair. But I think just doing the bike fair taught us an awful lot about how to get something like this done. We do hope to be able to do it again next year. And to that end, we have reserved Esperanza, the bike rodeo, and the recreation center for next year, pending your approval. These things are very hard to get, so we wanted to make sure we got them locked in. We can always cancel if it doesn't work out. And Suzanne wanted me to mention the work of Coach Leah Dolan from Corrales Elementary School and Chief Martinez. They came early and they stayed all day to help us, and we really appreciated that. As you know, Counselor Knight was one of the volunteers. She and I ran a game for kids and adults, and it was a lot of fun. We gave away a lot of prizes. And thank you, Counselor Burkett, for coming and attending the fair. We appreciate that a lot. And again, we couldn't have done it without your support. We really do appreciate it, and we hope to be able to continue this next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
The last thing I have, Mayor, is just a reminder that the budget workshop is a week from Wednesday coming up, and I believe we've got it scheduled at 3 in the afternoon. That's all, Mayor.
Angela, Main Street?
Question?
Oh, excuse me. Yes.
Yes. I was wondering, last meeting we mentioned about the federal money and shovel-ready projects. I was wondering if we made any progress on that, on any applications as yet?
We have not heard back anything from Senator Heinrich's office, and we still have the same dilemma that we had that I mentioned to you as far as the size of the village and the demographics of our village, but we're still waiting to hear something back from Senator Heinrich's office.
Okay. Now try again.
Good evening, members of the council, mayor, and Administrator Curry. This is my first time addressing everybody, so I hope I got it right. It's kind of nice to be in person, I'll say. I been on Zoom and met everybody, but haven't done this in person yet, so tip it up. Okay, is that better?
Yep.
A little better? Start again, I know. Well, just a little bit of background. Every quarter, Main Street submits a report, just to kind of update everybody on what we're doing. And so, you know, for me, I think tonight I was gonna focus on the report that we submitted for our third quarter and just kind of open up. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at it, and just maybe go ahead and answer some questions on that if there were any. And then look forward and kind of, I guess, presently about what Main Street's working on, you know, right now. So if that makes chronological sense, do it that way. Did anybody have any questions? I guess it's mostly just an update about, you know, what we're doing. The third quarter was a little bit slow for events and in-person stuff just based on Omicron. We were able to have our Meet the Street event, which is kind of like it's not the merchant circle, but it's the effort to get all the businesses together and sort of give businesses that maybe don't get a lot of exposure an opportunity to be visited that night. So that was, you know, a good event in the third quarter. We did it, Corrales Chocolates and Teas, and we partnered with the Rio Rancho Chamber of Commerce, which was, you know, cool because I think a lot of people from out of Corrales actually came in and got some exposure and, you know, were able to meet people outside of the village and bring people together here too. So that was kind of one of the highlight, you know, events that we were able to do. But if anybody has any questions from the
Yeah.
report, yeah.
Yes.
I have an observation that hopefully will lead to a question as well. So looking at the gross receipt tax stuff, it looks like every month so far this year has been our highest month, or every month this year has been higher than any month, any previous year,
Okay.
with the exception of 1 year before. So obviously the businesses here are doing really well.
Yeah.
What is your sense in having conversations with the business owners and new businesses and people thinking about opening up businesses in the village? Is that the sense you're getting as well, that they're doing really well right now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel like, you know, obviously, if you look at some of the changes, they weren't on the report for this one because April was actually the month that some, you know, businesses left. One went online, so they didn't close down. That was the Reef, the consignment place. The other one, Sun and Dust. I don't know if anybody ever, that was a gallery, like a jewelry gallery, was given an opportunity to move to Santa Fe. And obviously with the foot traffic there, I think she took it, but it was, neither of those were negative, you know, reasons. Amazing Finds is now moved out. And I think that was more of a, I don't know if that was actually a lack of traffic and business, but it sounded more like maybe a life, you know, decision. So for me, the sense is the established places are doing well and everything is going, you know, great. Chocolates and Teas reports doing really well. And I think, I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity to go to First Sundays, but I think like that's a good chance too. And it's grown quite a bit. That's an event that falls under our ACD efforts. But that is really growing and it's really bringing in a lot of people, vendors, and I think folks from outside because of our effort to market it outside of the village. So I think, you know, these are the kinds of things, plus just where we're at. I think a lot of people are just anxious to be out now that it's getting nicer and feeling like slightly better. So I think it's going well.
There,
Yes, sir.
question. Angela, do you get questions from outside of Corrales, businesses wanting to come in? And there may be some issues that are negative that they see, or space not available, or those kinds of things. Do you get many inquiries from outside businesses?
I can't say that I get a lot of people inquiring. And that was actually a discussion we were having, you know, recently. There's historically not been a lot of space available, you know, or if it is, it's a kind of a niche type of a place or space. But there's a platform that we can list, and this is kind of through New Mexico Main Street. You know, if a place is sitting and it's actually desirous of someone to move in and not finding that. That isn't usually the case here. Usually it's when a space opens up, somebody's already after it. And that comes from even just talking to the owners of the buildings. They usually are able to replace somebody fairly quickly, depending obviously on what the business is and what the designations are. But that is an opportunity if we actually had somewhere sitting and sitting and sitting, and the owner couldn't find someone. And we're talking about doing something like that. It's a sharing platform that matches a business to, an interested party.
Stuart?
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. So do you get a sense from the art community, how much, or you get feedback from them about how things are going with them in terms of their sales and their events?
Yeah, so I will say, again, I'll go back to First Sunday. That's been a good opportunity for Main Street to be really engaged, individually with each space. And the reason for that is because what my role is to coordinate, for the existing galleries. And so I'm able to talk with them, often. And I think they feel like it's been, really picking up, and, the ones that are committed to being open on that first Sunday, that makes a difference too. Some of the feedback I think that was given by, multiple people was that the consistency of being open is very important, because Corrales is kind of a drive for people coming here. So I think COVID probably is responsible for part of that, is, not being consistently open and not being sure. But I think that commitment to having your hours updated, having things, so folks who are coming here know that what you read is what you get, basically. But yeah, I think it's been much more positive than even when we started the first Sunday process, like in January and December. As the weather's gotten warmer and things have picked up, it seems like it's gotten, consistently reported good sale days, put it that way. So.
Any
Is there
update
any-
on- I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Mayor, any updates on any of the restaurant locations that are not filled at this point?
I don't have anything to share today, but I think the hope is, something is moving in at the location where C3's is. But we don't have any concrete, public announcements to make, so.
I know your responsibility is primarily Main Street, but is there any way you can think of that perhaps we could identify how much is online sales from our home occupation businesses?
I mean, that's interesting. That's something that I can't say that we've delved into a lot. Our focus is the district, but it may not be that hard to find out
Well-
if people be willing, to share.
The only reason I ask that is
Mhm.
because those numbers are huge. And do you see people who have doubled business on Main Street?
So I would say online, are you?
No, just,
From Main Street? I would say the, example of kind of what you're talking about, online capacity as well. A good example of that would be Hanselman. During COVID, they were able to, I think, keep some part of their, showroom open,
Right.
but they made a huge effort to convert to being online, and they definitely,
well, there's a couple of places in that same strip mall that
Yeah.
have online presence.
yeah.
And you just kind of, you look at the numbers and you think, this is way beyond what the brick and mortar stores could be doing.
Definitely, and I think.
Big jump.
Oh, for sure. And it's something that we're kind of working on again, is making something available for businesses to increase the online capacity. It's a skill, and it's something that even just Instagram, for example, you kind of need someone to walk you through it and teach
Right.
you how to do it. And one of the head potters over there who was responsible for that big jump on Instagram is someone who's willing to actually do trainings to get people kind of up and started for online.
Yes, Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. I was just also curious that since the mayor mentioned this, I wondered how much the federal monies infusion into the businesses, how much that helped them stay focused and
Sure.
stay online or stay in business.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something also we should ask, what was the actual, report from that? During that time, I don't know if we were tracking the federal money, like if Main Street actually did, but I think a survey would answer that.
You mean the COVID support funds? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But this,
Yeah.
this lends more credence to the fact that we should get broadband here in the village
Oh, yeah.
to allow those people, if they are doing that, and
Yeah.
if they aren't, and they're thinking about it, we
Yeah.
allow those people to
Yes.
hook into that system.
For sure, because I think there are, good examples of businesses that probably could have done a lot online, but just like weren't ready at the time. But it also goes back to the readiness factor.
Right.
That's the business readiness factor that we could probably focus on, and try to assist.
Yes, sir. Is that?
So events that you guys are doing this year, same as usual, the holiday auction, Starry Nights, the garden tour. Do you have any other business gatherings or anything on the horizon that we can put on our schedule? I know the last one was on a council meeting night, I think.
Well, and that, unfortunately, I didn't have control of that because we decided to go ahead and partner with the chamber.
If you just didn't want Bill there, all you gotta do is say that, or just wink once if that's the reason you did that.
Accidentally leave them off the email. No, I think we decided the benefit to partnering with the chamber was good. And I think, I apologize that it was on a council night because it was nice, people can come and check these places out. But we're definitely going to do one more in the fourth quarter. So I'll invite everybody to that.
We'll cancel the meeting if this is.
Yeah.
Anyone
Yes.
else have any comments or questions? Angela, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And if something comes up and that you didn't ask tonight, just call, email. I'm always available.
So let me make one more comment about Angela. She is helping us, the village, to try to get funds to raise the Jones property. She has contacts and she's also helping us deal with this animal control issue. So she's working overtime.
Well, it's interesting. It's nice because I think it's all happening at the same time, but we're in a good position, I think, to get a lot of stuff done. And the resource that I have that he's referring to for the Jones property is actually through New Mexico Main Street that I was exposed to it. So that's a good example, I think, of, yes, we do all these events. Yes, we do, a lot of things here. But we have a lot of resources. And, I was going to talk a little bit more about ACD, but I think if you're interested enough, go on the New Mexico Main Street website, poke around a little bit. There's a lot of good information about, the arts and cultural districts and why they're important and how they're relevant. And so, that's something too that we're focused on quite a bit. And it's an ongoing process, but it's also going to be something that we're going to, hopefully achieve soon too. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything?
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you very much, Angela.
There, I did have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Before we leave this section. You mentioned that we'll be having the budget meetings next Thursday, next Wednesday. Will we be getting materials in advance
Yes,
for that? And when would that be?
that'll probably be Monday or Tuesday.
She may be working on them right now because she has been slaving away all day.
We're gonna try to get them to you as soon as we can and be no later than Monday, but maybe if we're lucky, we'll see them on Friday.
And we want to sort of get ahead of the curve and have a vote the last meeting in May and then get it up to Santa Fe. And that just sort of fits the time frame.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll move on to Council's Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Does anybody have, John?
Thank you, Mayor. This past Saturday, the Corrales Tractor Club had a tractor show on the soccer fields. And we also had it open to car enthusiast clubs. So we had about 24 tractors. We had a Dodge Challenger Charger Club, Corvette Club, Mustang Club, and a couple of restored military vehicles, and the list goes on and on. It was very successful. It was open and free to the public. We charged $5 for the exhibitors, or they could donate blood. The show was in memory of a member of our club who passed away this year, Bob Guy. And we decided to have Vitalant, who used to be United Blood Services, as our recipient. So we raised about $500 for them, which was good. More surprisingly, we got 24 pints of blood that day.
Wow. I thought you were kidding about the blood.
Nope,
Wow.
no, sir.
Man.
So it was, all in all, it was very successful, and we even wound up signing up 6 or 7 more folks into the club. So just thank the council for allowing us to use the field that way, and it was very successful. I think it helped promote Corrales.
Very good. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just to add to that, I went to the tractor show and it was fantastic. I was also at the bike event, which was also great. So it was nice to have back-to-back Saturdays. One question, something I was thinking about with all of these committees, commissions, workforces, task forces that we currently have, would there ever be the ability to maybe do a meet and greet where we can try to get them all, or at least a couple people from each one, all in the same room so they can meet each other? Know who they should be talking to when there's projects that are kind of crossing boundaries. Just give people some faces to some names, because I think there is a fair amount of volunteers in the village now, which is fantastic, but not a lot of them know who each other are. And I think that would be probably helpful for progress.
I think you're correct. We've talked about, focusing on employees, certainly focusing on volunteers in publicize what they do and who they are. I think they're unappreciated many times. And I agree with you. I think that's not a bad idea. The problem is just, it's time, and getting people together is sometimes difficult. But we'll certainly look into that and ask questions, see who all is interested. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilors. So, Mayor, I had talked to you earlier about going with a hybrid meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I also think there's a need for a backup IT person to support Melanie. I think that's something we need to look at. And
As it turns out, after our discussion, I was informed that is happening.
good.
And we do have a person, and there was an issue with the number of people at Planning and Zoning, because it takes 2 people.
Right.
One to run the meeting and one to run the Zoom. And so in June, it will be a hybrid meeting.
Okay, very
It's
good.
already planned.
Thank
So,
you. Also, I'd like to see Michael Chavez if he could. I know you reported or I think he reported not too long ago that we were starting to see failure of the culverts on Corrales Road. I thought he said something about that with the new pavement, even still, there were signs that these culverts were starting to fail on us. Why don't we have him make a note of a list of these culverts, and maybe send this up to the TCC and Mr. Cog, and see if we can get some funding and maybe get these things fixed as a possibility. I think it might help, stabilize that part of the road. Also, I had a conversation with Chief Martinez last week, and I'm working up to finalize my notes. And when I get them ready, I'll send them to you and the council. Great conversation about fire suppression. And I think there's something that can come out of this that we need to probably look at as a fire suppression master plan, and look at the long-term goal of what Chief Martinez wants to get accomplished and the funding that we need to do that with.
Chief Martinez, not me to interrupt you, but Chief Martinez has done an excellent job
Yes,
in cobbling what he can together to actually move
he's-
forward.
I'm really impressed with what he's done with what monies he's got.
Yeah.
But I think we need to look at a long-term plan for this, maybe the funding to support those ideas. Also, I'd like to suggest a quarterly meeting, a work study with the council and the administration, just for information purposes. Just something to sit down and let us kick around some ideas and the issues in the village. And then we can work towards, some ultimate goal on that as well. And also, I would like to suggest maybe as part of these, with all these monies floating around, we need a professional grant writer or somebody to work on those particular things, that let them do the work. Everybody present her or him with the ideas, and let them go after the monies for us.
Well, we actually have contacted Chuck Thomas.
Okay,
I don't know if you know Chuck Thomas.
No.
Chuck Thomas can find money under a rock.
good. We could use it.
He used to be the executive engineer up at SCAFCA. He worked there for 11 years. I know him very well. He's very good. He knows all the ins and outs of federal money. And we've actually sat down with him and talked to him about what his scope of work would be, and have worked out an agreement with him. And that's moving forward. And yeah, I agree with you completely. There's money out there. You just need to know, as he has done in the past. I mean, the ratio of funds to bond money was like 9 or 10 to 1. We would get the funds and we'd spend, 9 or 10%, 11% of the bond money for those funds. I mean, it was very good.
Yeah, and I think we also need some kind of funding for pre-engineering services that might be needed prior to those funds or those grants being applied for, if they were to be shovel ready.
You do have to do the design and you do have to do the planning in advance. And many times that can be used as part of your match.
Yeah.
And yes, that's all,
Okay,
it's all part of the package.
and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, if I could make one other suggestion.
Yes, sir.
To follow up on Councilor Murray, Terry Bruner, who used to be the state director for Senator Bateman, there was also the head of real estate development and cloud administration, has something called the grant plant. They help communities across the state with grant applications. So sometimes it's a fee, sometimes there isn't, but he's really expert at finding money as well.
Terry Gruner,
Bruno.
Bruner,
Bruner.
B-R-U-N-E-R.
Bruner,
N-E-R.
2 N's. Gotcha. Sometimes I can't read my own notes. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to Corleone's Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate. To inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during business session. There is a 3-minute time limit. Who do we have?
First up is Greg Tingley. And sir, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Greg Tingley, and I live at 125 Cherry Court, which is right up here off of Les La Entrada towards Loma Larga. I've been a Corrales resident for almost 20 years. I love it here. I'm here tonight really to plead my case for a Siberian elm that I planted 20 years ago on my property. And it's now encroaching on an easement that they're putting in on Cherry Court. Did everybody get okay, I see you did. Anyway, I drew a rough map here of Cherry Court and the houses now that are on Cherry Court. There's an ordinance, I understand, if a road serves over 5 residences or houses, the road has to be 30 feet minimum. Now, Cherry Court used to be 20 feet, and I always thought it was a private road, and so did everybody that lived on that, on Cherry Court. The land across from my house, which is marked Yarbrough's on this map, it's bought last year, and the lady subdivided it. It's into 2 lots now, which brought the total residences now to 7. So the easement, came into play. And they have started on that. They're all the way up almost to the end of the easement's going to end right there at the end of Yarbrough's land, between Yarbrough's and Frogel's. And I've got a bank of Siberian elms that I planted in I thought it was my private road 20 years ago. Now one of them is in this easement that they're putting in by about 6 feet. And that's the first picture, I believe, on your display there, is how far that tree is actually to the end of the easement, which is the poles sticking up. They're going to have to end the roadway, the easement roadway they're putting in right there at that tree I'm talking about, because the land slopes down. So they're going to have to end the road there and slope it down to meet a fence that's down there. I have talked to Michael, who was out there ramrodding the the work. And I said, I'd like to save that tree. And he said, oh, I don't know whether we can or not. He says, I agree. It's nice. It's shade, he loves trees,
That's your time, sir.
but he's, okay. Anyway, it is encroaching by about 3 feet but I've got the lady, the Yarborough lady that owns it,
Thank you, sir.
she said that she does not mind that tree. She'd mind that tree there, and I don't mind it. So it's not hurting anybody. What I'm saying. And I'd like to leave a nice, healthy tree there rather than remove it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is Mr. Kurt Flora. And Mr. Flora, if you could also state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Kurt Flora, 560 Andrews Lane, Corrales, New Mexico. A couple weeks ago, I turned in this thing, y'all probably seen it with the email Lori Stout forcing an illegal preliminary plat on us. We pay taxes on 2 separate pieces of property on our property. So we should have been able to do what's it called a summary plat, not a preliminary plat. Here we have Lori Stout stating track 60B, map 18, track 2, map 20. That's our 2 pieces of property. On 1/18 of 19, Lori forced the preliminary plat on us because she stated that it was a county line. It's not just, they can move county lines, but they can't come in and move property lines, okay? So when the county changed, they came in and moved the county line. After 3 meetings and being told numerous times by attorneys, by us, by everybody, and she even admits it in there. This is Lori right here stating okay, she admits she's forced the preliminary plat because she thought our property was, that was just a county line. It is also our property lot line. Okay, so I wanted to show you that 2 years later, after this, I asked Lori the same question. Well, why couldn't we have done a summary plat, which we planned on doing from the very beginning? Okay, from the very beginning, we came up and let me get my marker over here. I asked her the same.
Lot line adjustment.
Why can't we do a lot line
We
adjustment?
do have 2 lots here, correct? Correct. Okay, so, and we can do a lot line adjustment plus a one-time split, correct? That would be a summary plat.
Okay, so now she's admitting that would be a summary plat. We should have been able to do a summary plat from the very beginning, since we do have 2 separate pieces of property there. But we were illegally forced to do a preliminary plat. By doing so, the village has extorted the money from us, forcing a preliminary plat. I noticed this guy right here, I didn't even expect him coming in, about the 30-foot easement, the village is forcing on people. Now, the village has to eminent domain properties if they want to force 30-foot easements in people's properties. They
That's your
can't
time,
just come
Mr.
in
Flora.
And take property. It's called a taking. They can't not take your property unless they pay you just compensation for that property. Okay, it's the 14th Amendment. I gave you all the amendments last time.
Thank you.
Here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't forget your computer.
Thank you.
Up next is Chris Allen. And if you could also state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3
Sure.
minutes.
Chris Allen, 299 Ranchitos Road. Again, Mayor Fahey, members of the council, Administrator Curry. I've seen recently, there's been some discussion about expanding the sewer line. And of course, we know about plans to expand it to the east of Corrales Road. And then I guess some talk about putting it down Loma Larga. I know things move glacially sometimes in the village of Corrales. I know this because 20 years ago, when I was the village administrator, I was in charge of the almost $1 million grant to put the sewer line down Corrales Road. At the time we did that, we had people who were resistant to being hooked up to the sewer line because they had just installed a septic tank or their septic tank was fairly new and operating correctly. And we tried to make some accommodations for that by saying, well, maybe we could establish some exemptions for that. 20 years on now, I find myself in the position of one of those people. I am about to spend $12,000 to put in a new septic tank and a new leach field. The septic tank was from the 1970s and was actually collapsing right where my dogs run. So that was a little scary. And the leach field was done probably 20 years ago. So now we'll have at the end of this week, a state-of-the-art septic tank and a state-of-the-art drain field. And needless to say, if you come to me in a couple of years and say, you must now pay to hook up to a Corrales municipal sewer, and you must now pay a monthly fee, I will be a little upset. So I would like you to consider, should that come to pass in the future, that you take into consideration those of us who have invested, $12,000 is a fairly hefty amount of money to put into my property. So that you would consider putting in an exemption. And what we had talked about at the time was that the exemption would exist until such time as that system fails, or possibly when the land changes hands. So I just want to put that little bug in your ear because it hurts to put $12,000 into the ground like that, but that's what we do here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
And the last speaker of the evening is Perry Myers. And if you could also state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Perry Myers, I reside at 122 Doolittle Road in Corrales. Unfortunately, I have a septic tank and I hope it doesn't cost me $12,000 when it goes bad. I just have a question. Driving south on Corrales Road down at the south end, I've seen some signs trying to eliminate casitas. I'm not sure what this is all about. Are homes that have existing casitas, would they be grandfathered? Or is this just for people that want to build a new casita? I just don't know. Maybe I'm not at the right place to ask.
Well, it's not the right format. This is not for debate or discussion. You're making a comment.
Yes, I'm just making a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is this the right body that would
Yes.
review that request if someone brought it forward?
Or planning and zoning, I would say, either one of the two.
Oh, okay. And then I have one more comment on this gentleman's statement about the tractor pull. Fortunately, I knew someone that was going to put an antique vehicle in that fairgrounds or soccer field last weekend. Invited me to it. It was a great show. I'm from Chicago. I wasn't interested in tractors, but I was interested in the antique cars. My issue is that there's a magazine, Corrales Magazine, tells upcoming events. I get my mail in a box. After the show, I got home about 3 o'clock. There was a magazine talking about that event. Had I not met somebody who was going to enter a car, I would have had no idea that was going on. If they could get that magazine out maybe a little earlier, like the first of the month or the last day of the previous month, it certainly would be beneficial. You're shaking your head.
No, Angela, this is really not a
Oh,
debate time, okay? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, well, that's it. I mean, it's a great magazine. I just wish it would come maybe before the,
Yeah, it's not us. We don't do that.
okay.
It's a private company.
Oh, okay. I'm new here, so thank you very much.
Sure enough.
Welcome.
Okay. You can say something to me. So now we move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village council and will be enacted in one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, a motion to remove the item from the consent agenda may be made, and that item will be considered separately. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second to approve the consent?
I'll
agenda?
second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there any items councilors wish to remove from the consent agenda? Oh, okay, hearing none, then I'll take a roll call vote. John Alsorbrook,
Aye.
Stuart Murray,
Aye.
Bill Woolman,
Aye.
Zach Burkett.
Aye.
Therefore, the consent agenda is approved. And we'll move on to new business. Number one, consideration action and approval of resolution 22-26 declaring an emergency, recognizing the existence of extreme drought conditions in the village of Corrales, prohibiting the sale or use of fireworks within the village during the continuation of drought conditions, authorizing officers of the village to enforce the prohibition of sale or use of fireworks, and providing for administrative review when climatic conditions improve. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
A question.
Yes, sir.
Is this the language that New Mexico Municipal League came up with, or is this our own?
This
Something
was,
that a,
this was sort of a combination.
okay.
And Mayor, councilors, this is directly based upon the language of the state statute. We are going as far as we can with the limitations.
And another thing, this is going to be for 30 days, which takes us to June 7th. Yeah, June 7th, I believe. So because we're only going to have a meeting on June 21st and you need so much time beforehand, we're going to have to extend this next meeting. So we'll have to vote on it again to get the 30 days past the 4th of July. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we'll, if we renew it at the next meeting, then we can renew it again at
Yes,
the June 21st meeting.
yes, because then we'll be on 21st.
Yeah.
Yes, that was what it was. Okay.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 22-26.
So do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion to approve and a second to approve resolution 22-26, declaring an emergency regarding fireworks. How do you vote? Counselor Alsorbrook,
Aye.
Counselor Murray,
Aye.
Counselor Woolman,
Aye.
Counselor Burkett.
Aye.
So the resolution 22-26 is approved. Number two, consideration action and approval of resolution 22-27, authorizing matching funds for the 2022 New Mexico Main Street Capital Outlay Grant. And this is a capital outlay grant that Main Street got, and we have a 20% match. Do you want to come make a comment?
Within that 20% of the match, there's like a breakdown of what can be in kind and what
Okay.
can be, so it's not 20% cash, it's,
20% cash
Yeah.
and in kind.
yep. And so I think it's, it comes out to be very doable with just looking at the hours that it's going to require and that type of thing. So
It's a $40,000 grant. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I have a question. I noticed on the application, and this is not anything that I want to say it's bad about you, but it does talk about infrastructure. And I'm wondering if the Economic Development Department is even aware of the impediments we're getting from New Mexico DOT for those infrastructure, because it seems to me that that is inhibiting us from developing any kind of an economic plan for the commercial sector of the village.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good, conversation that you're bringing up, and it's been had, I think, as to what you're saying, if they're aware of all of that, I don't know, at this moment where those two things intersect, excuse the pun there, but that's an ongoing conversation about you're referring to PAR, right?
Yes.
So I think that's an ongoing conversation because it's, it's relevant to the Arts and Cultural District plan that we have. And so I think at some point it will be, something that gets, delved into further. But, that has to be resolved, I think, from the PAR perspective. But we're going to continue to move forward with the outlay.
Yeah, I would say don't shelve the plans for the party yet.
Yeah, we stay hopeful, and I think we'll see. I think it's going to have to come down to what the cultural plan drawings end up looking like, I think, and then how that's going to all come together. But I appreciate, what you're saying.
Yes.
We haven't not thought about that. So. Thanks.
Anyone else?
So I'll make a motion. We approve 22-27.
I'll second.
So I have a motion to approve 22-27 and a second. That is authorizing matching funds for the 2022 New Mexico Main Street Capital Outlay Grant. How do you vote, John?
Aye.
Stuart?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
So 2027 has been approved. Number 3 is consideration action and approval of resolution 22-29, extending the ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of the Corrales interior drain. That was originally set up for a limited time. And so since we're making slow progress, but we are making progress, we thought we'd extend it and give it more time so we can move ahead with it. And that's the rationale for bringing this back. I think it expires in June. Yeah. So do I get a motion? And a second?
I motion we approve resolution 22-29.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve resolution 22-29 and a second, extending the ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of the Corrales interior drain. How do you vote?
Aye.
Burkett? Jack
Aye.
Burkett? Bill Woolman?
Aye.
Stuart, your
Yeah,
turn.
aye. I thought
John
that-
Alston.
Aye.
I fooled you.
Well, I thought that since we didn't have money involved, I thought we could just, voice.
Early enough.
Yes.
It's a good thing because we've already appointed the committee,
That's right. The consent agenda.
Okay, number 4 is consideration action and approval of resolution 23-30, creating an ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of the Corrales Performing Arts Center. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this before we have a motion. So we have a group of people from various places, various arts, and also including agricultural people. Because one of the things that we're thinking of putting in this building is a commercial kitchen. And it was a very positive response by the agricultural people. Also, we have the Adobe Theater people who have expressed interest in being part of this. And it will take a little bit of negotiation because they want a lot of time for their performances. But I think, first of all, we have no money yet until Angela comes up with the money to tear the building down. And so it's a good thing to start working on so that as we get the money, we can move forward to the next step and we'll have a plan. We already have a very good conceptual plan and a lot of agreement. And then the next thing would be design. So I would like to have a motion to approve this resolution for an ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of the Corrales Performing Arts Center. Oh, let me also say, they may want to change the name because it's not going to be just performing arts. It'll also be, so it may be a mixed use facility or something. Yes, sir.
Mayor, yeah, my only concern about this, I would like to make sure that if we do get this in place, that it is used in a regular basis, that it's not something that's going to be sitting there. And
No,
not being
that
used.
we want revenue coming in from the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why I was so excited that Adobe Theater came to us and said, we want so much time and we pay rent and we bring lights and we bring seats and we bring money. And so, I mean, that's tempting.
Yeah, I agree with the commercial kitchen. I was one of the things when I met with Angela one time, that it seems to me that would be a good, what do they call it? It's where you develop ideas and businesses as well, in that.
You build it and they will
incubator,
come.
yeah, incubator is what I was thinking about. So, yeah.
Mike, one other thing, in connection with the commercial kitchen, on performances, it could be a big moneymaker to sell items during that time.
Those are all ideas that have been floated and talked about and
Talking with the head of the Albuquerque Philharmonic, the two main sources of their income are contributions and brownie sales. So let's keep that in mind.
okay. So do I have a motion and a second?
I move that we approve 2230.
I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion for and a second to approve resolution 2230, creating an ad hoc committee for the possibilities of Carouse Performing Arts Center. How do you vote, Zach?
Can I make one quick
Oh,
comment?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Have we fully appointed this committee, or can I suggest that we get somebody from Parks and Rec, that committee, to be on this committee as well, just to make sure there's no overlap between
We
the
have,
new rec
we
center?
have identified individuals, and they have filled out applications, and they will be given to you next meeting for your approval. And yes, basically, I sat where you're sitting now and just said, oh, do you want to be on this committee? Well, I didn't say that. I said, you are on this committee. And we have Parks and Rec, we have Corrales Society of the Artists, we have Corrales Music and Corrales. We have Main Street represented. Angela was kind enough to offer her services because she has so much free time. And then we have sort of an ad hoc person who actually does a lot of different things here in the village. I can't remember them all right now.
Agriculture.
Anyway, yes, I think there's a very good representation. And of course, we have Lynn, who's sort of overseeing the whole thing. You know.
Perfect.
Okay,
Then I vote yes.
okay. Bill,
Aye.
Stuart,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Very good, guys. That's great. Okay, so resolution 2230 has been approved, creating an ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of Carouse Performing Arts Center. Now, we move on to confirmation of commission appointments, and we have two. First one is Elizabeth Marshall to the P and Z Commission. Now, Elizabeth is a single mother who, you've seen her resume, who does many things. She actually was contemplating running for mayor. Is that correct? She wants to be involved in the village. She's a quick study, quick learner, and she's lived here, I think, all her life. But she's very interested, and she was very interested in finding out that planning and zoning will have an opening in June. So I would like for you guys to approve her. So do I have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I move that we approve Elizabeth Marshall to the appointment to P and Z Commission.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, Elena Kayak. She would like to be on the Interior Drain Committee. I think you all know Elena Kayak.
Yeah.
I think she will be a big help. She represents another part of the community that I'm not sure is as well represented on the Drain Committee right now. So I would like to get her approved, please.
Mayor, I move we appoint Elena Kayak to the Interior Drain Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Elena Kayak to the Interior Drain Committee. How do you, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Very good. Okay, future agenda items. John, you have one?
I just have one really, and that's an update on the Upper Meadowlark roadway trails and all of that.
We'll wait. I got some information on that, but we'll wait.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, update on Upper Meadow.
Sure. Sooner the better, but whatever it takes to be reasonably thorough. Yeah.
Well, it may be settled by the time we do an update.
Well, there we go.
Stuart,
Mayor, I'd like to request a closed session to talk about land purchases.
Very
that
good.
are under good.
you may need to, you think 2 weeks is enough time? Okay. Yeah, we'll see if we can do it in 2 weeks. We don't want to get too much on there if we're going to do a closed session because, oh, we also have to do an appeal, right?
They actually decided not to file the appeal so far, so
Okay,
not yet. but
I'll second
possibly.
that.
Yes. It may still be coming, but at this point,
okay,
it
it's
is
not,
not.
okay, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have one?
Yeah, I did an update on the status of Saucy Park and where we are on that. Getting some complaints from neighbors from the strong winds on the.
Oh, the sand?
On the, work is still there. Dirt has been moved, but the asphalt's still there.
Oh, the asphalt, okay. I think, I'm not sure it'll be gone in 2 weeks, but I think it'll be gone in a month. Because it's being used on the road. I think it's being used on Sagebrush, yeah. Zach?
Just one brief thing. I'd like to get an update on our fire department, how much we're helping out other municipalities and entities right now, and kind of what our policy is for when we determine it's safe to send our guys elsewhere versus keeping them here, what that kind of algorithm looks like. And if they need anything to better support them, because sadly, 2 weeks from now, it's probably not going to be a conversation that's over.
So I can tell you one thing they could use a lot, more people. So when we have our budget meeting, consider that. We need more firemen.
Yep.
They're stretched thin now. And if they have to send somebody somewhere, they're really stretched thin. They're stretched thin now because they're spending a lot of time patrolling the Bosque to make sure bad things don't happen.
Yeah. Well, then I guess also part of that conversation is the reason we're stretched thin, is it because people aren't available, because funds aren't available, because we don't pay what other people are paying? I'd love to know kind of what they're getting as far as resistance
Okay.
to
we
be in
will
full.
Talk about that at the budget meeting.
Okay.
I don't think it's more or less.
I think
just
it's a combination of all those
I
things.
think they're just stretched, trying to make sure that we don't catch fire anywhere.
Right.
Did you sign up? Yeah, these are future agenda items. You don't need to comment on these. You can comment on when they come up.
Let the village know that there are 3,200 gallons of water on my property in case there is a fire in Corrales.
Thank you. To his point, though, I'd also like to know, do we need, if we have a swimming pool or people in the village have swimming pools, do we need to authorize the fire department to access those for water, or is that something they just automatically do? Because that would be great to let people know that have water like Mr. Flora, that we can do something to let the fire department know that that water exists and that they have access to it if they need it.
I can't give you a guaranteed answer. I'll have to ask.
Just one other thing, there is a certification that or has been certified.
Okay, does anybody on the council have any more comments that they want to make? If not, it appears that the business of the meeting is over, and I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, Stuart.
Yeah.